Welcome to this new episode of Women Who Chose France. Today I'm joined by Sammy, originally from New Zealand, who moved to Paris 3 years ago with her husband and her 2 children, who were just 7 and 2 at the time. Before moving, Sammy spent over 18 years working as a TV producer in New Zealand. But arriving in France meant starting over in many ways, professionally, personally, and culturally. In Paris, she made a bold shift. She decided to become self-employed and reinvent her career as a travel and hospitality photographer, building a creative business from scratch in a completely new country. In this conversation, we talk about what it really means to build a life and a business in France as an expat, the challenges, the surprises, and the growth that comes with it. We explore cultural adaptation, language learning, and the reality of trying to feel at home in a new society. We also dive into balancing family life with entrepreneurship, finding your place in a new community, and building confidence, both in French and in yourself, when everything around you feels unfamiliar. If you're living in France as an expat or dreaming of it, this episode will give you honest insights, practical perspective, and a reminder that adapting doesn't mean losing yourself. It means learning how to grow in a new environment. Coucou Sammy!
Coucou Lisa!
Merci for coming to this podcast.
Thank
I'm
you.
really happy to have you.
Thank you.
And just to let people know, you are my student for a year now.
Yeah.
We've been doing some group sessions with Melly, a friend of you.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to talk about your life in France, what it's like, and maybe talk about more deep things also about what it is to move abroad and living so far from New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sammy, what made you say yes to moving to France for your partner's work?
Mm-hmm. To be honest, it was a really easy decision. It was a really easy yes. I think obviously it's Paris, so everyone loves Paris, and I'd been before when I was younger, and fell in love with it then. I think also living in New Zealand, and we're so far away from everywhere, the thought of living somewhere that is close to everywhere, because obviously the flights are so long, so a Europe trip is sort of, if you're lucky, once every couple of years type thing. So living somewhere that's a good base for travel, close to everywhere, experiencing new cultures and new trips with a bit more ease was really, really exciting for us. And obviously just, of course, like having a new experience for our children and our family. So yeah.
Was it an easy decision, or did you doubt it, or were you scared of it?
To be honest, no. I think I lived in I moved abroad when I was younger, and I think that helped. Just feel a bit more relaxed about it. It was funny because people kept saying like, "Aren't you scared?" And it's a big thing, but I was actually probably more excited than scared. I knew it wouldn't be easy, of course, but it never felt too scary. Just always really exciting. But for a while, it was, is it going to happen? Is it not? So there was a bit of that wait. But yeah, it was really, really exciting when it was confirmed.
What were you imagining your life in France would like before arriving? And was the reality better or worse or the same?
Sitting on a terrace, drinking wine, the kids playing and being perfect, and it's no, I'm joking, but it's been different. It was hard to imagine what it was going to be like, to be honest. I knew it was going to be hard to make friends. I knew it was going to be hard to integrate and to settle the kids in and that kind of thing. But I guess I was pleasantly surprised with. I mean, it's changed so much, and there's been so much that's changed since we moved. So it's, I mean, it feels different than I imagined, but in a good way.
Okay. When you first arrived, what felt the most challenging?
5 flights of stairs and no elevator. And a 2-year-old that didn't want to walk up the stairs by herself ever. It was a good workout. I think also like navigating the metro. We first arrived and my husband went straight to work the next day. And so I had 2 very, very jet lagged children and no idea of how to use the metro or get around or do anything. And we had a pram that was way too big, which we had to end up replacing. And everyone was just absolutely exhausted. And so I had a sort of bit of a cry about 2 days later. And my parents sort of said to, I think we ended up saying to my husband, you need to take at least one day off. just help settle in. So that was helpful. But yeah, I mean, I think once once we sort of settled in a bit more, I mean, that was the first challenging thing.
Yes, because for people who don't know, in Paris, a lot of apartments are in old buildings and they don't have elevators, or the elevator is super small, like you can just fit 2 people in it. So if you have kids, that's a struggle.
Yeah, it really was.
And you know, the metro, it's funny because Christine, I had an interview with her, and she also said that the metro was challenging at first.
Yeah. It's funny.
And I told her that even for the French, for us, I don't live in Paris, and it was challenging for me when I came to Paris.
Yeah, it's funny because now it just seems so easy, but at first I was like, gosh, like where do we, even just getting around was sort of hard. And I think also like trying to do it at the same time as having young kids that was super jet lagged was not easy.
They were super young. Like you had your daughter was 2 and your son was?
He was 7.
And talking about your kids, how was it for your kids to move so far from family, from their friends, from their country?
It's been probably the biggest challenge and change for out of our family has been for them, because they came from, we had a big backyard at our house in New Zealand, and they had so many friends, and all our friend group as well had kids the same age, so we were always together every weekend with all of the kids like running around together. And obviously family were closer. We didn't have any like the grandparents, but weren't both in our city, but they were still close enough. And then moving in from a sort of a big house with a garden to a tiny, well no, it's not tiny, we're very lucky with our apartment, but like moving to an apartment with no outdoor area and no, like I said, no elevator was a massive shock for them. And also the school that we first put them into, which was a bilingual school, we thought we were doing the right thing by not throwing them into the deep end of a French school system, but it was a very city school. Like sort of they went to the park for, they didn't have the one now they do, but they didn't have a playground, so they would go to the park instead of just going outside into the playground. So everything was quite different. My daughter was only 2, so she's actually now spent longer in France than she has in New Zealand, which is crazy. But she didn't really remember, well, she wasn't at the age really to understand too much of what was going on. So I think for her, the transition's been a lot easier, and she's probably doesn't miss it as much because she doesn't remember. But for my son, given, 7 is quite a, it's quite a hard age to move when you do have friends and you're set up. So it's definitely been harder for him, and he still really misses home. And I think that's probably been the hardest part about being here, really, is just, I mean, he's adapted so well and he's been amazing, and their French is just incredible already, which is they're so lucky being their age. But yeah, it was definitely a big challenge for them.
And what has been the biggest challenge for them about adapting their life in France?
I think even though their French is now amazing, I still think there's a little bit of a lack of ease when you're not talking to someone with your, like with your mother tongue. So I think my son's now, I think he's past that, which is great. He's sort of making friends with, all the French kids. We've moved them to a French school now, which has been amazing, especially for my daughter's French. She now plays with her toys in French, not English at all, which is great. And actually she's fine. But I think, my son he still likes reading English books. He still likes, he still probably gravitates a little bit towards the English speaking kids at his school. Even subconsciously. But yeah, I think adapting. I think the hardest thing, probably apart from obviously that, is just being away from home. Like just missing the grandparents, the friends. The New Zealand lifestyle is very different as well, and it's actually an amazing. Not that the French childhood isn't, but New Zealand childhood is very relaxed, very outdoors. Very community based, very family based, and I think it's been difficult for them not having that on a regular basis. So yeah.
And at home, do they want to talk with you in English or in French?
Definitely in English, because they hate our French accents. They just can't. Yeah, they can't deal at all. So we just can't get the practice, sadly, because they just refuse. Every time I try, they're like, "Oh my god, Mum, your accent's so bad."
It's honesty. It's hard.
I know. Charming.
Your daughter too?
Yep. And she's like, "You don't know French like we do." I'm like, "Oh, thanks."
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And she's like, "Okay, we'll say this." I'm like, I say it. She's like, "No, it's like this." I'm like, "Okay, thanks." Been corrected by my 5-year-old.
What has helped them feel more at home in France?
I think the grandparents coming over has helped. Luckily, my parents come once a year, which is amazing. And then last year we went back for the first time to New Zealand, so that was really, really nice to be back for a decent amount of time, seeing friends. And I think just being here as a family has helped, definitely. FaceTiming friends and family a lot, continuing to speak English at home, even though it's not really for that reason.
Do they have friends in France, like kids from New Zealand?
Yes, actually, they do. Our friends that we went skiing with recently are Kiwis, or the half Kiwi, half French girls. And then, no, unfortunately, we've met lots of Kiwis in France. They've got Australian friends, but there haven't been many Kiwis that we've met with the same age children, which is a shame. But I mean, they've got lots of English-speaking friends and expats that they've met as well.
And for you, how has it been to live far from your family, far from your friends?
Yeah, difficult. Really difficult. I mean, the excitement, and it always seems so, glamorous and amazing to live in Paris, but, in reality, you are so far away from your network, your community, your village, I guess. And like I said, the New Zealand lifestyle normally is very community-based, so it's been pretty isolating, I'd say. And also, you kind of miss out on all the lots of key moments, like, all my friends' 40ths and, weddings and things that we sort of can't always get back to. And yeah, just kind of just not being around your best friends that you sort of would see every day before, so that's been probably the hardest thing. And also, sorry, just one more thing is like being away from nephews and nieces that are growing up and not having the cousins together is probably one of the hardest parts.
All your family and friends live in New Zealand, or some live abroad?
We've got friends kind of dotted around the world, but the majority of our best friends are in New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact of missing moments, it's like it's very difficult to find a balance between, okay, I want to live my life and do things I love and live where I want.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I know your parents, or in my case, my grandparents, they are getting older, and you miss moments and time with them.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's tough because it's kind of, we can feel a type of guilt because I'm not spending enough time with them.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're exactly right. And also I think the sadness that my parents feel not, and parents-in-law feel, not having access to their grandchildren, the whole time is sad. And yeah, there is a guilt that goes with that, for sure. I completely agree.
Right. And they never thought of moving to France?
No, sadly not. I'd love them to, but even part-time, but yeah, no, they've got a life, they have lots of friends, and they play lots of bridge, and they have lots to do. So yeah, it's funny. That's one thing I've noticed. The difference between French schools, that my 10-year-old son is learning bridge, the card game bridge, which is what my parents play all the time with their friends. He's learning it at school, which I find hilarious.
So they can play when they come to visit.
Yeah, exactly.
And did you lost some friends? Like people you thought were friends at home, and then you just don't talk anymore?
No, not really, because I feel like with all my best friends, even if we don't talk as much, when we see each other, it's exactly the same. So I haven't ever felt like I've lost any friendships with the move at all. I think maybe if like a different stage of my life, a different time of my life maybe, but at this age and stage, no, like it just feels exactly the same when I see my best friends again, it doesn't feel any different.
Right. Which is amazing.
Yes, luckily.
What's your biggest cultural shock when you arrived in France?
I think obviously the language. I kind of had a preconception about French people of kind of being potentially a bit, and this is, maybe a bit rude. Well, not rude, but like just a little bit, different. But I actually haven't found that. I think what I've realized is that they respect, there's a few different things, like saying bonjour when you arrive somewhere, or when you go into a shop, and just that politeness, which I completely agree and I think is important. Culture shocks. Yeah, I mean, just I guess I love that this is probably a love rather than a shock, but the importance of mealtime and family time, and actually taking the time, to have lunch and sit down and eat, and probably just the language and the difference, and how they live their lives was kind of what I noticed at first.
And were the French welcoming? Do you feel like it was?
They were, actually. I had 2 run-ins where I was at the supermarket and I asked in what I thought was okay French to try and find something, and he just lost it on me, started abusing me in French. I think for probably, you hear and you don't speak French type thing, even though I'd tried. And so that was really upsetting. And I cried in the supermarket, and this girl came over and found me, and she was helping me. And so that was probably the only time that I was really attacked. Actually, another time as well. But in general, really welcoming, really, really, really friendly. Everyone's been super keen to help. Like even our neighbours, who we adore, have been amazing. And yeah, no, it's been a really positive experience.
What felt challenging about being an entrepreneur in another country?
Everything. I think to take a step back as well, I think the main thing I found hard about it was going from being as part of a big company and a big team, having the support of all of that, and just and then going to freelance where you're by yourself, no one to sort of bounce ideas off, to support you in decisions and that kind of thing was really, really difficult for me. And then obviously you throw in the French admin and the everything that comes with trying to set up a business, with the language barrier and also just with the time it takes and the sort of it's not easy navigating any of that, I don't think, and I think everyone shares that same thought. Well, most people do. So yeah, and I think also just like finding my way, because I was a different role for so many years, and then to sort of start a new business, but also while I'm trying to figure out that as well, sort of like all of the things at the same time was sort of tricky and challenging. But I feel much better now, and I feel like it's just kind of coming along slowly, and I feel like in a really good place. But also I feel like you've got to be willing to, how do I say it? Like, be willing to not have it all figured out and be okay with that. And I think that's really helped me, is just trying things, failing at things. Like the freedom to fail was what we used to say in our old agency, is really important. And like they say, getting your work out there, putting yourself out there, even though it feels embarrassing or hard, or but that's actually the best thing you can do. And like, if you don't look back and see things and be embarrassed, or you've probably potentially spent too much time trying to craft them before you actually just got out. And then, because you're always going to learn from your mistakes and learn from and iterate from there. So I think that's probably been the challenges of setting up and being an entrepreneur here.
Yeah, and you're a photographer, and you had to, and you need to go to see some people, some restaurant, hotels in French, to talk about what you do and to, sell yourself like in another language. So it's really not easy.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing, like going from having a big network of people to like literally no network at all. So it's hard to even get advice. It's hard to even know, like, the market in general. And yeah, exactly. And then also that with the language barrier, trying to figure out, I mean, actually, to be fair, it's been amazing. At the beginning, most people had a good enough understanding of English that I could speak to. And I now obviously try my best in French. But yeah, no, I think navigating a new role with a language barrier is very, very tricky.
Did you get any help, at least with the admin, or did you do everything by yourself?
In terms of setting up my business, yeah, I know there's a few people that I've gone to for advice.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I feel you, because when we moved here to Spain, like from Argentina to Spain, I spent hours and days,
I know,
just looking for visa options for my partner who is not from Europe, and also for my business. But I was like, okay, I will not spend hours in that anymore. I would just take an accountant that I trust.
Yes, yeah.
Et voilà. And to be honest, it has been the best thing I did.
Yeah.
Because she just takes care of everything. Even we bought a car, and she just did all the paperwork, Yeah,
amazing.
And I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. No, you definitely have to lean on people like that, for sure, because it's just too overwhelming to try and do it all by yourself.
Especially when you start, like, and you need to know some specific things, and it's very complicated. Even I don't know everything about entrepreneurship in France, and to not make mistakes in your. It's even accountants sometimes make mistakes, so that's why you need one you trust.
Yes, exactly.
Ouais.
Yeah.
It's a whole world.
Sure is. It's not easy. It's tough as you.
About your daily life, what does a typical day? What is a typical day for you in Paris?
Eating croissants and drinking wine. No, I'm joking. So it changes every day, but in general, a week or a day or a week looks like obviously hectic mornings getting the kids ready for school, and then the school run, And then most of the time I'm either like planning the content for the week, or I'm out shooting for myself or for clients, or I'm prepping and planning for a shoot. And then most recently with my new creative collective that we're about to launch today, tomorrow, we've now been like meeting up and working together somewhere, which is amazing. And then the school, and then obviously like exciting things like supermarket shopping and laundromat, and lugging the supermarket up 5 flights of stairs. But also, yeah, I mean, I've in the earlier days when we first arrived, I spent a lot of time wandering and walking around Paris shooting, and that was like amazing to see Paris and experience all the different areas, but B, so good for my photography because you really do learn from experience. And I think I literally shot every day, as much as I could, and I experimented, and that was amazing. And nowadays I'm doing less of that because obviously I'm editing for clients and that kind of thing, but I still, whenever I can, get out and just shoot as much as I can for my sort of Instagram account, and also just for myself. And I license photos now to magazines and brands, which is exciting. So I still need to make sure I factor in and do as much shooting as I can in a week. And then obviously school pickups after that. So it's very busy, but also I love that I can pick up the kids. And whereas before my life in New Zealand was very full on, like the role of a TV producer in an advertising agency is so full on, and it didn't leave much room for family balance, I don't think. And I've definitely got more of that now, which I love. And yeah, of course, and then obviously cooking dinner and having a wine. And summers are easy. I find winter's really hard here. It's not as easy, obviously, to go out and shoot. It's not as easy to find things to do with the kids. But summers and springs here are just dreamy.
Ouais. I live abroad, and usually I spend a lot of time in France when it's spring or summer.
Yes.
I try to avoid winter.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe, and some people like it.
No, I mean, to be fair, I do like when it snows, it's amazing, and there are certain parts of winter that I like, but in general, I'm definitely more a spring, summer person.
Also, it depends where you live. Like in Paris, the weather is different than if you live in the south of France. The winter is smoother, more sun.
Exactly.
Mais oui, c'est.
Yeah.
Je comprends. And also, you've been traveling to different parts of France. You've been to Nice. You've been to Biarritz.
Yeah, we've been trying to see as much as we can while we're over the side, like I said before, like because in New Zealand it's so far. So for us to be able to jump on a train and get to the French Alps in a couple of hours, and it's just absolutely incredible. We love traveling by train, especially with the kids. It's just so much easier. It's so like, yeah, we live close to one of the main train stations, so it's just so easy to get around. And yeah, we've just been trying to see as much of France as we can, and other places in Europe while we're here. But we love traveling so much, and I'm always planning the next trip as soon as one's done, or even before that. So we've loved, and it's seeing. So I love what I love about France is every place is so different. Like Biarritz compared to Paris is completely different compared to even Nice, or just everywhere we've absolutely loved for different reasons. So it's been amazing to be able to explore more of France, and I feel so lucky for that because it's just incredible to be able to travel so easily to all these incredible places.
Yeah, and you can spend years just traveling in France. There's so much to see.
So much to see. I have such a long list that I just never be able to get through.
And by the way, you can find the beautiful shots, Sammy's beautiful shots, on her website, and I will put the link in the description if you want to have a look.
Merci.
A deep question. Has your vision of life changed since you've moved to France?
Absolutely. I think, for one, it's created a full new business, and for me, which is incredible, which I didn't know I was going to do before we moved, and that's been like the best thing ever, because I love photography, everything about it. And I have been able to luckily turn that into a business. And I mean, it's still building slowly, but to even be able to do what I love, and it's just incredible. And I think also, like I said, like the base for travel and being able to explore amazing places. I think it never like also I never take for granted living in Paris and how beautiful it is. Like I never get used to, like I'm always walking out and being like, oh, wow, like it's just so incredible. And hopefully even after 3 years that is like still there every day. So in terms of my vision, yeah, I think it's really shaped my vision. It's really helped narrow down my focus, narrow down my niche, and yeah, I think it's been incredible for them.
Yeah. Also, like living abroad, you get to see another culture and people living differently and thinking differently. And just by the language, like language also, I feel like language shapes also a culture. And it opens your mind so much.
Yeah.
And
Completely.
it gives you more possibilities for your life, like to actually to take some of those and adapt it to your life. And it's so fulfilling.
Yeah, completely agree.
How has this experience transformed you as a person? Like, what have you discovered about yourself?
Yeah, I think
since you've moved,
I think it's made me realize that I think it's strengthened me as a person. I think you have to have a level of strength to be able to raise children in a completely different, country with a language barrier. I think it's also shown me that I have the drive to make change and to make things, go and happen. I think it's just really just leaning in on just the strength that it takes, and I think also leaning into the creativity. I think from my role before, I was a producer, so I was making things happen, but I wasn't really. I was part of the creative process, but I wasn't in charge of it at all by any means. And now I have been allowed, that creativity for myself through my photography, and that's been incredible. So yeah, I think just showing me that I can do it and be fine, and which is amazing.
Ouais, that you're capable, that you can trust yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you most proud of today that once felt impossible for you?
From a family, well, obviously from a family perspective, my children, but from a work perspective and from a personal perspective, well, definitely turning photography and I think I always wanted to study. I studied photography at school and I always wanted to do it as a job, but I couldn't draw properly enough to and at that stage back in the day you had to do a full arts degree if you wanted to pursue photography as a career. So I did TV and film instead and ended up as a producer, which I loved, and I think that career fully shaped my photography, and I still use all the skills that I gained from that career today, like storytelling and attention to detail, working in a team, working with creative deadlines and processes. But yeah, I think the thing I'm most proud about is how I'm developing my work for me and really trying to develop a style and a niche that is really genuine to me and I'm really passionate about. And I think, that for me has been something I'm really proud of.
J'adore.
Yeah.
Did you feel lonely at some point, even though you've moved with your family and you live with them? But did you have this feeling of loneliness in France?
Absolutely. So many times. I think also going from working in a team, working with people every day, to freelancing, by yourselves, and also yeah, like just not being near your friends, not being near your like support network, for sure. It's super lonely. I think now we've built, and also like when you first arrive, you've literally got no friends, so that's that's hard. And at first
Ouais.
we were trying to avoid like meeting too many expat, or like not even too many expats, but like too many Kiwis. We lived in Australia for 5 years, and we pretty much only hung out with Kiwis, so we're like trying to avoid doing that. But then we like literally have no friends. So we're like, okay, okay, maybe we need to start meeting some Kiwis or some, some expats. And now we have a great group of friends, which really helps. But yeah, no, there was definitely a loneliness. And actually, that's the reason we've started our creative collective, because we, like all three of us, and I'll explain a bit more about what it is soon, but all three of us like kind of definitely felt that. The going from becoming a freelancer, there's a real sense of loneliness, I think, and it's really hard when, especially when you throw in like a language barrier in a new country. It just sort of adds to that. So it's definitely a lonely thing. But yeah, once you start to build your community, and it does get easier, and it does feel less lonely, luckily.
Mm. It also, the thing is, from France to New Zealand, there is a big time difference. And like to call
Exactly.
some friends
Yep.
and family, it's always, you need to organize, and it's not
Yes.
easy.
No, exactly. You're completely right. It's like, yeah, 12 hours sometimes. Yeah, it's hard to, yeah, you never feel like, and also, you're completely opposite ends of the day. So it never feels like you're, someone's morning is your night. So it's tricky for sure.
Yeah, everyone is in a different energy. So,
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
what has helped you move from like this loneliness? Like, did you manage at the end to find a community and real friendships? You know?
Yeah, I think definitely it was putting myself out there, which I think you have to do, and you have to do more than you would when you are an expat. You have to really put yourself out there. Um, and I think doing that, yes, I definitely built a community. Leaning on like through the school and through obviously work and through just sort of events and networking and community, like kind of everything. So yes, I definitely feel that I've overcome that. Working with the girls now as well, like we can bounce ideas off each other again, and we can feel like we're in a team, but we can also work independently. So that's been amazing. I think planning trips, and like I've got one of my best friends is in London, so that's been amazing. So she's so close, and yeah, I think you just got to just putting yourself out there. I found is the the main thing that's helped really.
You know, that's interesting when you say the word community.
Mm,
I hear a lot also the Americans, they say a lot community
mm.
and like being part of the community. And in France, it's not that we don't really use this word.
Really interesting.
It's more like, yeah, we talk about our neighbors, but like the
Yeah,
community, not that much. And
yeah,
also in
interesting.
Paris, it's so busy and people already have their own friends, their
Mm-hmm.
own life. They don't
Mm-hmm.
really focus on people around them like they don't know.
Yeah,
And it makes it
exactly.
harder
Yeah,
for people coming to integrate fully and feel this,
yeah,
what you talk about.
absolutely. Yeah. And even if you do kind of manage to integrate, it is still hard with the language barrier. Even if your French is, getting better. Like I think I said to you once, a great moment for my French was when I first moved here and I met my neighbour, who is lovely, and she's got two young kids. And so we were seeing each other quite a bit. And at first, like she spoke good English, so at first we were speaking a lot of English, but and I was trying in French. And then one day we had another coffee, and I could do the whole thing in French, which was amazing. But I still feel like, especially at my stage of French, there's still that lack of a full kind of deeper, like kind of meaningful conversation, So it's sort of like even if you
Mm,
integrate, you're still missing slight parts of what make up a potentially a deeper sort of conversation. So it's tricky.
right. Oh, it's going to be a different type of friendship, yeah. But it's not going to
Exactly.
be like the same with your friends in New Zealand.
No,
exactement.
exactly.
And do you have French friends?
Hmm. Yep. I have. Yeah, we do. When we moved here, a few people that we've met through like my husband's business, which have been amazing, and they're still friends. And my neighbours who I adore, and yeah, you're my French friend. Um, no, yeah, we do.
Even though you don't live there, maybe.
No, exactly, yeah. Clients that I've worked
But we're
with.
gonna meet soon because you're gonna do a
Yes,
meetup.
I
So
know.
yeah.
Exciting. Yeah. No, we do. Yeah, no, we do. No, we yeah.
How did you meet your neighbor? Like, did you talk to her first, or how did you do
Yeah,
it?
just in the building, really, just like kind of passing each other. Also, she was pregnant when we first arrived with twins, and now the twins are two. So we've like I help them up and down the stairs a few days. Well, it depends on the week, but if her partner's away or husband's away, so we kind of bonded over that, and then we were like doing kind of coffees to help each other's French and English. So yeah, it's just about, I think
Nice.
there's
But
some that have been friendlier than others, but it's, a couple of the neighbours in my building are so lovely, so that's been amazing.
Mm. And I wonder, were you the first one asking for coffee, or she was the first one?
Probably me, I'd say, but to be honest, she's been so lovely, and not, yeah, I can't really remember, but I'd say it would have been me to help with the practice. Yeah.
Right, amazing. So what we need to remember from that is try, go for it, and if it's
Yes.
a no,
Yes.
it's a no.
Exactly.
But you can earn more than lose.
Yes. Exactly. You just got to put yourself out there for sure, which isn't easy, but I think you just have to get past the embarrassment, or and just ask, and just do it, and just try, because otherwise you're just not going to get anywhere.
Ouais. And usually it's a good surprise, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I've always had positive experiences from it.
What would you say to a woman who just arrived in France and feel maybe lonely, lost?
Yeah, just put yourself out there as much as possible. Go to events, go to like networking, like classes. To be honest, like I met a lot of people. Not this is going to be for everyone, but I actually met a lot of people through my Instagram account, which it gets a bad rap, but it's actually been amazing for meeting people and developing friendships. But yeah, I think you've just got to really put away all the embarrassment and shame, and really just put yourself out there as much as possible, because you're always there's gonna be certain people that you meet that won't stick, or won't be, and also because it's quite a transient lifestyle, obviously the expat life. There'll be people that come and go, so you really just got to keep building on different friendships. There's so many resources as well. Like there's one that called like the Creative Lunch Club, that you get matched with people each month. There's so many things like that you can do, and like communities that you can join. So yeah, just kind of finding all those resources and just doing as much as you can to put yourself out there.
And actually in big cities you have a lot of events, of course.
Yeah.
But also in small cities or villages, they usually have events also that you can go to.
Yeah.
And that's where French people also meet all the neighbors or all the people living around.
Yeah.
At least that's how we always did in my family. We were living in a small place, but still everybody knew each other because people were going to the events of the year of the community. Voilà.
Yeah, exactly.
What helped you gain confidence in French? And like, as you say, going for it and going out and speaking French.
Definitely classes with you. I think for a while I had learned quite a bit of like the grammar and the understanding, I guess, but then I wasn't speaking as much. So every time I spoke, nothing was coming out quick at all. Like, it was just, if I had to like write it down, then maybe that would have been okay. But trying to have a conversation, even a basic one, was just not there. So that was really hard. So I think, yeah, like the conversation kind of classes with you and Melly have been amazing for that. Just to start naturally having phrases that are, well, not phrases, but like, just naturally being able to speak in conversations more. And then I think also just practice putting your shame aside again and just practicing as much as possible. Like, I literally I stay in French the whole time. Even if they switch to English, I just stay in French. But it's funny because I see so many people. There was a cafe that I was at a while ago in the 11th, and maybe it was a slightly more expat kind of area, but in general they were so people were just walking in and like ordering in English, like not making any effort at all. I mean, I don't even know if probably some of them were tourists, but a lot of them I could tell were living here. But yeah, I just think you've got to try as much as you can, and not. I at first it's easier said than done to like put yourself out there and like try and say things, because when your French is so limited, it's hard. But I think, and I annoyingly still get people to switch to English, and I just stay in French. So I think you've just got to keep trying and keep putting yourself out there, and not listening to your children when they tell you your accent's terrible. Even though it probably is.
And does it still happen to you that people respond in English?
Yeah, a lot. It's annoying. I mean, sometimes no, and then that's a great feeling. But yeah, sometimes. And I think that maybe they just think they're helping, but I just stay in French, and then eventually they'll switch back, which is good.
Ouais. Ouais, to be honest, like being a French person, I worked in tourism, and before teaching, I would do that. I would answer in English because I was happy to speak English first.
Yeah, exactly.
And second, I was like, oh, I'm helping them and it's amazing. Yeah. But maybe on the other side, they were like, oh no, she's answering in English, so my French is not that good, etc.
Yes, exactly.
But we really do it in a nice way.
No, exactly. No, I completely understand that. But also, like, I just now say, like, I want to try and I want to practice, and that's the way you learn. It's like actually having those real conversations.
But you're right, the technique is to keep in French, and then, of course, if the person keeps in French, then they will start to speak in French to you again.
Yeah.
Donc, bravo, Sammy.
Merci.
You don't give up.
I won't.
Do you feel like you're at home here today? Do you feel like you belong in France?
Yes and no. Yes, I feel very, very comfortable here now. I know my way around. I know the culture. I know the people. I know I have utmost respect for the culture and my place here, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think you never. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely part of me that feels like my home is definitely, obviously New Zealand, of course, but I definitely feel more comfortable and happy here now. But it does take a while to get to that point, I think. It's funny, people always romanticize living abroad for a year or, living somewhere for a year, but in reality, like, that's how long it actually takes to get even slightly settled. Like, you're not even like scratching the sides of being like, even comfortable by a year. So I always say to people, like, if you do want to, move away and have that experience, definitely try and make it longer than a year if you can. Because I definitely feel amazing now, but it took time for sure.
Right, it takes a lot of time. I've been here a year in Spain, and it's amazing. I made 2 friends, which is a lot in a year. To be honest, I'm fluent. So I know it takes years. Like to create your new life, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to talk to us a bit about your new business or also your photography travail?
Yeah, of course. To start with my photography, it's been amazing. So it's been a journey because obviously I studied at school, but not enough. That was years ago. And then when I arrived here, I knew I didn't want to go back into advertising. Having two children, it had started to become, too much. And then also I just wanted a change. I'd been in advertising for like 18 years. I'd been at 10 years at the same network, well, actually 15 years at the same DDB, the same network, in Australia and New Zealand. And while I love my job, I wanted a change, and I'd always loved photography. So I really wanted to pursue that. So I didn't really know what my niche was going to be, though. I didn't really know my direction at all. So that's what I've been focusing on, trying to figure out. And now I'm in a really, really happy and good place with that, which is sort of the travel and hospitality niche, which is amazing but super competitive. So that's been hard, and it's been harder than I thought of, like turning it into a business. Like obviously I love like taking photos for myself and which I obviously started sharing on an Instagram account, which has been amazing for exposure and everything, but obviously doesn't pay it's not like, so I've then started to kind of have to put together a bit of a business strategy. And then I didn't want to, sadly, I love taking photos of families and portraits, but it's not what I want to do. So I've had to go really hard focusing on talking to magazines, pitching all the time, trying to find, ways to get my work out there and to get the kind of jobs that I really want to do. So so it's been challenging and it's been hard, but I also love it, and I love it every day. I self-taught at first, but then I did a couple of courses through Lens 11, and they're for female photographers, and they were amazing, and that they provided also a community of my classmates, and we still speak every day on WhatsApp, which is amazing. And it's been amazing having their support and just to be able to bounce ideas and everything from them. But like I said before, being a freelancer comes with a sense of loneliness and isolation, especially after you've worked in a big team. So I think, and then I met a couple of girls, one a Kiwi and one from America, and we had a wine one afternoon recently, and we actually talked about how we were all feeling the same. You move away to a different country with a different language barrier, and there's the sense of the loneliness, and you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off, and it does really start affecting, your health, your mental health, your everything really. So we thought, what if we combine our skills? And so we're about to launch a creative collective. So we're three women with different skills. So photography for me, we've got a designer and a sort of all-round creative director, and then a writer and so together we're sort of a creative partners for brands and businesses. So we can work independently, or we can work in pairs, or we can work all together, which is our sort of recommended, because then you've got all the touch points for a brand and business all under one place. So I think the few of the pain points that we found when we were talking to people were, when you hire individual freelancers, it's a little bit disjointed sometimes, and also, maybe sometimes photographers would turn up and say things like, what are we doing? What are we shooting? Rather than like how I work, I like to understand I need to understand a client's business to be able to provide what I think is going to work for them, and the correct, the right visual storytelling and the right ideas. So how we work is like we come up with a strategy and the direction for the brand or business, and then we sort of capture their seasonal content, so that whether that be photography, videography, all in one. And then we we can create our full package can be anything from like creating a full content calendar, full brand direction, guidelines, identity, everything, and then we support the marketing direction over time. So we are very, very excited. We're already working with a couple of clients, which is awesome. So more to come on that soon. But it's so nice working together as a team again, having like those, the conversations together and the bouncing of ideas, and we want to also use it to build a community as well, like to help. It all came from us wanting, that the community back, and to feel like like you're doing, like with, like just talking to people and and you kind of have that mutual understanding of how it is to be an expat and how it is to be a freelancer or an entrepreneur. So providing a community for that as well is our goal. Yeah.
Bravo, Sammy. I really admire your work. You're already a mom with 2 kids, and you manage a business, you manage a life abroad. It's a lot. Bravo.
Merci, c'est gentil.
And if you want to follow Sammy's work, which I recommend, you can find all the links with our Instagram, website in the description. If you want to connect with Sammy also, if you're in Paris, I guess you can contact her. Et voilà.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, merci Sammy for this interview.
Merci beaucoup. It was lovely to chat. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Avec plaisir.